close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Welcome to Trucker Safety Divas. The show is just getting ready to start. Let me introduce you to your host, Angela Baum. You can find her on Facebook at Married to the Road. Lori Underwood, you can find her also on Facebook on Rolling with the Underwoods. Chris Johnson, also on Facebook with Chasing Miles with the Clark. And our newest addition, Terry, you can find her on Facebook, Trucking with Granny. Please grab yourself a cup of coffee or wine and enjoy the show. Married to the Road. Follow Larry and Angie Baum and their two fur babies, Gizmo and Bandit, as they truck across America, trying to make a difference in the trucking community. As the founders of Trucker Safety Info, they inform truckers about bad weather, construction, accidents, and more. Also the founders of Treat a Trucker, where they gift truckers with Walmart and food gift cards to show their appreciation to the American trucker. Follow their journey on Married to the Road on Facebook today.
Hello, ladies. How are you all doing?
Doing well. Hello, ladies.
Chris, you are not expected to be home tonight.
No, unfortunately not. But, it is what it is. The trucking industry, there's never a dull moment. And we now get to hurry up and wait for something to come of our truck. So, yes, I am home unexpectedly.
Lori, how have you been?
Today, really, really windy through Nebraska. Really windy.
Yeah, it was windy for me too.
Did you see our hazard stickers?
No, I haven't seen them yet.
One of them got shredded because how bad the rain was last night. And then today I was like, oh my God, we can't keep these on the truck.
Oh no. Terry, how are you doing?
Doing good. I just got parked in Fargo, dealing with the wind coming down 29. I had some trailer tires lift off the pavement, kind of one of those butt puckering moments. So
oh, damn.
I am settled in for the night, Murphy and I here in Fargo.
Oh, that's funny.
Puckering moment. I love it.
Yeah, it was. When you look in that mirror and your trailer's kind of like, oh.
Tonight on our show, we are talking about autism, and we've got two special guests with us. Catherine was actually going to be on the show with us because we're talking about autism, and a lot of you may or may not know, but Catherine has a son who is also autistic. Unfortunately, an emergency came up, and so she had to go. She may join us later on in the show, but we do have two special guests. We have Elizabeth Haynes, who's been a longtime viewer and friend of the show. And then Kelly, who is a good friend of yours. Is that correct, Terry?
Yep, she's a good friend of mine.
I actually think we have Elizabeth backstage, so give me just a second here, and we'll bring her in. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good evening, ladies. Hi, how is everybody?
Hi, Elizabeth.
Good. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Give me, where's the headset?
Absolutely.
I'm having a hard time hearing, guys, so give me just a second. Hey, Lori, I'm going to let you take over for a minute. I'm having a hard time hearing, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so Elizabeth, do you want to, well, maybe we should introduce everybody. So I'm Lori Underwood, by the way. And then, Terry, do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Terry, or TJ Granny, as I'm called, on Facebook. and I am the newest admin here on Trucker Safety Diva.
I'm Chris Johnson. I am one of the admins here, and I am also new to the trucking industry, so learning a lot.
So tonight we're talking about.
On your CDF.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a rough month, but we got through it.
It's always rough in the trucking industry. So tonight we're talking about autism and how autism affects the trucking families out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Evidently, Angie's having problems.
Well, I will start with my. I will start with my story. My name's Elizabeth Haynes, and I have been married 25 years to my trucking husband, Kurt Hewitt. He is on the road actually right now. He's in Chicago. We have been married 25 years. We have 4 children, and we have a 21-year-old son that has autism. And we've dealt with this for a long time. His name is Ryan. He's 21 years old. Love my boy. Love him to be. We live here in Florida. I have 3 other children. My daughters, Alyssa, Michaela, and Mackenzie are my other 3 daughters, plus my son Ryan. So there's 4 of us. My son was born in August 24th of 2000. I had him when we were in the Navy at the time. My husband was in the military at the time. So we were in the military, had my son. Come to find out, unfortunately, we were pregnant with twins and we lost one. So Ryan survived and the other one did not.
Oh, wow.
So sorry for your loss.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. My daughter's. No, that's fine. I know you guys are going in now. You guys must see how bad weather is. Anyways, my son got diagnosed with autism at 8. Can you all hear me? Is everybody okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So my son got diagnosed at 18 months. Actually, I'm sorry, not 18 months. Sorry, 12 months. I'm sorry. He's about a year old. We noticed when he was born, he squeaked like a mouse, so he did not cry like a normal baby. So we knew something was wrong at that point. And we found out that our son was diagnosed with autism. He didn't make any eye contact. He didn't crawl like a baby. He crawled like a snake, like he pushed himself. And then at the age of about a year and a half, we found out my son had epilepsy, so he had seizures. So not the only time. I didn't even know what autism was at the time.
Losing her.
I know, yeah. When my son was diagnosed, it was kind of like devastating to me. I thought I did something wrong. I literally blamed myself for my son and what happened to him because I thought I did something wrong. And I went through a period of grief. I went through a period of blaming myself for the longest time. My husband was very devastated when we found this out. So between the autism and the seizures, it was a lot of therapy, a lot of getting the right help for him when my husband was in the military. We had to go to specialists. My son had a stroke due to one of his medications, and we could have lost him then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was very, very hard for me as a mom to be like, here's my son having a stroke, and I didn't know why. until they found out it was one of his medications that caused it. So
How
we
old
immediately
was
took him
he?
off that medication, and he's not had a stroke. I'm sorry, go ahead.
How old was he when that happened?
He was 9 years old. He was at the
Wow,
age
just
of
a
9.
baby. Wow, baby.
Yeah, yeah,
Does
9 years
epilepsy,
old, and we're just like,
does autism and epilepsy generally go together a lot? Do you know? Is there a correlation?
I think there may be a delay on her end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Elizabeth, are you with us still? Bummer.
Elizabeth,
sorry.
are you there?
Go ahead, Ashley. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
she's
here. Can you
back.
hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can
can
hear
hear
you
you.
now.
Okay.
Terry, go ahead and ask your
Go ahead,
question.
ask your question. I know.
I was just wondering, you had mentioned he was diagnosed with autism and then epilepsy. And I was wondering if there was some kind of correlation between the two. Is that like something you hear a lot of?
What was her question? I'm sorry. Can anybody hear her question? I couldn't hear her.
She was
Say
wondering,
again?
is there a correlation between the autism and what was
Epilepsy.
the other?
The epilepsy.
Epilepsy. Yeah.
A lot of kids that are on the autism spectrum do have epilepsy. Unfortunately, that is one of the things that comes with it.
I never knew that. That's
Me either.
never heard that before.
So
trust me, when I first my son, it was devastating too. But go ahead.
this may
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. That's okay. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm trying to kind of respect that. This may seem kind of like a silly question, but what do you think was harder, or what do you think is harder for you? Well, first of all, does he still have seizures actively, or are those kind of like?
No, he's been seizure free now for about 9 years now. So he has no more
Oh,
seizures, no
wow.
more epilepsy. He's
Good.
outgrown.
Good. Good.
Yes, he's outgrown that. So that's a blessing to me and my family.
Absolutely, absolutely. When he was having the seizures, what do you think was harder to manage, if you will, the autism or the autistic side of things, or the seizure side of things? I mean, I know one's probably not easier than the other, but like, where do you stand as far as that?
As far as that goes, I think the hardest thing was the seizures at the time, because we never knew if one of them was if my son was never gonna make it, or my son just every time he had one, it was more devastating. It was just like, is he gonna be okay? We always had to go for an MRI or a CAT scan to see how much it affected his brain and stuff.
Right.
I think dealing with the epilepsy was the hardest than the autism. The autism side I could deal with. I think the epilepsy was more the scary part, because you never know what seizure, if he had another seizure, could it take him out, could it end his life, So I think that was more scary side of it.
Right. Or have a lot more long-term residual effect on, the mind. Yeah.
Now, Elizabeth, now you guys are both, your husband's a driver, is that correct?
Yes, my husband is a driver. Yes. Yes.
Now, have you noticed? Have you noticed,
I think the hardest
Elizabeth?
thing was,
There's a delay.
Yeah.
yeah, I can see it. I think the thing with us now is him being a driver and being away so much. If anything ever happened to our son, it would be like just trying to get him home would be like the hardest thing. But I, you know, our son doesn't really. How do I put this? He really doesn't know that his dad's gone. So, I tell him, "Oh, Daddy's gone on the road. He's nonverbal, and he's so he really doesn't understand a whole lot as far as Daddy being gone on the road and everything else. He doesn't understand that.
Right.
So,
Elizabeth, I know that with autism,
Now I
they
do.
need. Oops, sorry, guys.
Uh-oh. Oh,
We have quite a delay.
I can hear everybody. I know there's a delay. There's quite a delay tonight. I don't know why.
But what I'm wondering is with driving,
Chris,
our schedules are always crazy,
mhm.
and with autistic children, their schedules need to be like bam, bam, bam. They're used to rituals and schedules and the same things, and that's what calms them. If you kind of answered it a little
Yeah.
bit by saying that your son doesn't even understand that or realize that your husband is gone. But I was just kind of wondering if that's affected you at all. Like if he was scheduled to be home on one day, say he was coming home on a Friday, and you tell your son, Daddy's going to be home today or tomorrow, and then something were to change. That as a driver, I know our schedules are just, they change every minute. Things can go haywire. Hence Chris still being at home today.
Mhm.
So have you
Yes.
noticed that inconsistency that is, very pronounced in our profession? Has that affected your son at all, needing that
Uh-oh.
ritual?
Um, I think my son does have a routine. Yes, he's everything's scheduled. Everything is, he does a routine. He does the same things every day. He does repetitive stuff. So yes, that helps him. When my husband comes home, we do try to make time to go see him. Now, I want you ladies to understand, my son is not with me in the home. We had to make the decision, and it's the hardest decision we've ever to make. But our son is in a group home in a different county here in Florida. So we make the time when we schedule the time to go see him when my husband comes home. So that way Daddy can see him, I can see him, at this point. Um, he's been in a group home since he was about 15 years old, because his aggressions got so hard and everything else. And the county that we live in does not have services for our son. So my husband and I
Oh
we had
wow.
to talk with the family. We talked with our family. Yeah, we had to talk with our families and say, is this the best thing for him? Because we don't want to be selfish. We want him to get the help that he needs. So
Right.
at that time, yes, he's been in a group home since he's been 15 years old. But I've seen him. I've gotten to see him, video chat with him. I've gone over for Thanksgiving, Christmases, any holidays. I've gone over to see him. Um, I make the time to go see him, and then when my husband comes home, we schedule that time as well.
That's awesome.
And it's been difficult, making that decision as a parent to put your child in a group home. That is I think that's the hardest thing for us parents. And then when your husband, if he's a trucker, you have to say, hey, is this good for him, or what do we do? And we had to make that decision, and we work as a team, so we don't. And I will tell you, a lot of parents that have autistic children do end up in divorce. It is the second highest rate for parents that have
Oh
autistic children.
wow.
They do end up in divorce.
Wow.
And the biggest thing for us, yeah, it is. It's the second highest rate besides regular divorce. People who have autistic children, the parents, they go through a lot, and some parents just can't handle it together, or some fathers can't handle it, some mothers can't handle it. It's just it's one of those things, and it's one of those statistics at a high rate.
That's
That
Luckily
crazy,
for my
Matt.
husband and I, we work at such a good. It is. It is.
that kind of goes with the question I was going to ask you. What is the
Um,
hardest part with autism?
what's the hardest part with autism?
Hmm.
I'm sorry. Is that what you asked me, Lori?
Yeah, what is the hardest part with dealing with autism?
I think the hardest part dealing with is that you want. How do I put this? You wish for all those things that they wish they could do, like getting married, or having kids, or going to college, or playing sports. I think the realization that that's never going to happen, I think that for me is the hardest thing to deal with. I think it's just one of those things where you just have to kind of have to just learn that, they are who they are. You just have to accept them for who they are.
Of course.
I know their sisters, there are three sisters. My other three kids that I have, my girls, it's hard for them to see their brother in a group home. It's hard for them to know that they don't have. One of my girls asked me this one day. What the question was, "What do you think, Mom, it would happen if he was normal?" Sometimes they wish their brother was normal, and much as it breaks my heart, they know that their brother is who he is, and that's.
Elizabeth, do you think your decision to put your son in that group home at the age of 15, you had mentioned divorce, do you think that has helped you guys be able to concentrate on not losing your sense of marriage in all of that? Having that support system of the group home? Do you feel that that's been really beneficial to you guys as a couple and with your other three children to know that he's taken care of, and some of the burdens lifted off your shoulders?
I do. I think that's a lot of it is that we struggled for a while, but we never gave up. And my husband and I said we wouldn't give up, and no matter what came our way, we would get through any struggle, anything that we had to get through. And being there also, it was hard because my girls growing up, I had to be more there for my son, and I kind of felt like I was neglecting them, and I didn't want to feel like that because they had things and they were in school and everything else, and my heart kind of got torn. And it's kind of hard to see you ladies, but my girls had to go through a lot, and knowing that I had to pay full attention to my son. But now, us as a family, we've come together. We get through things every day, and the girls understand why we had to make the decision that we did. And
Elizabeth, I hope you don't
very
feel
lucky to have my husband. No, I don't. But when I talk about my son and I talk about autism, because it's one of my passions, and I meet different people every day, and I deal with people that are like, that either want to know what it's like for me or what they're going through, because I can relate to what they're going through.
I can only imagine what you've gone through as a parent, because a lot of us parents hope and wish the best for our children, and that had to be really difficult on you guys. Really difficult.
It is for a lot of parents. It is difficult. The struggles, just to get ABA therapy for their kids, and just to get speech therapy and all this other stuff. It's a lot. In actuality, to raise a child with autism is almost over $30,000. Believe it or not, $30,000, and it costs. ABA is not cheap. My son gets occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, ABA therapy. He's in a school where they help these children that have autism. So it's a lot. Just to raise people, imagine, that people who are trying to pay for these therapies, they struggle every day. And they don't have the money, It's a lot.
Elizabeth, you had mentioned that you felt like you neglected your other three children, or you weren't able to pay as much. I want to tell you from my heart to yours, my brother was born terminally ill and passed away at the age of 11, and my mother had to concentrate on him. And I want you to know that we know, I don't blame my mother for that, and I'm sure your daughters don't blame you. And the older we got, the more we realized it wasn't because you didn't want to be with us. It was because the other child needed you more. But I saw my mom still feels that guilt, and she still talks about it. She lives with my husband and I, and it still bothers her. So I just want you to know that from one child who's been in the same position as your three daughters, we understood. We understand. We don't hold, any hard feelings. So I hope you don't let that hurt you, Elizabeth, because moms do the best they can. And I'm sure you did just like my mom and did everything in your power to make sure your daughters knew they were just as loved.
And I do. And my girls, they love me every day, no matter, what I'm doing or whatever. They support me all the time. And I've told them, I've apologized to them so many times over and over again. They're like, Mom, you don't need to apologize. We know. We understand. So my girls have grown up and they've become wonderful women, and I'm very proud of all of them. Um, my husband has been my biggest supporter. Um, without him, I don't think I could have gotten through anything in life without him. I mean, we've been through so much, and especially, and, I appreciate you ladies, having that support as a trucker's wife. It does help me every day, because I'm sitting here at home and my husband's out on the road for us, and I'm sitting here trying to hold down the home front, plus dealing with our son and our other children. So it's a lot. And I also work too. I have a job, so I work on the outside too as well.
It's a lot.
It is. But knowing that, you ladies are there is a big comfort to me. And I just want you ladies all to know that how much I appreciate you, and I appreciate the Truckers Divas Safety and everything you guys do, because without you ladies, there would be no support for Truckers Lives. And you guys are amazing. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And talking about this subject, and I appreciate you letting me tell my story, and, asking any questions if you ladies have about autism and whatnot, because I've lived with it for so many years. And my husband and I have been together, as a matter of fact, this month it'll be 25 years my husband and I have been together. 25 years. So
that's amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wanted to say real quick that the whole reason that we did the show tonight was because Elizabeth reached out to us, and I thought, what a great idea to touch on autism. And as soon as she reached out to me, I got a hold of Lori and Chris and Terry, and we're like, yeah, we're definitely going to do a show on autism. And then Catherine, she has a son that's autistic, and then we have another person that's coming on, Kelly. So it's like, and I have a nephew who is autistic.
I do too.
Yeah, he's 16. Yep. And he was nonverbal until he was probably 4 or 5.
Same with me. Me. My nephew. Sorry, Ange.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of am with the whole autism thing. My nephew was nonverbal till probably about 6. He did a lot of and a lot of pointing, and, went through numerous therapy in school. And, my ex-sister-in-law fought tooth and nail with the public schools because she wanted him to try to be as socialized as possible. I mean, and luckily now, you probably would never know that he had autism. He also lives in like I wouldn't say it's a group home, but it's more of like he's free to come and go as he wants to, but he still has curfew. He still has certain rules that apply as far as his social life, if you will. And luckily he was able to live somewhat of a normal life. And I wanted to say, I commend you for the decisions you've made. I know that they've been tough. I've had to make some really tough decisions with my girls as well, but I commend you for coming on, sharing your story. I know there's a lot of ladies. I'm kind of reading some of the comments, and there's some ladies that I know can relate to what you've been through. And I think that for those who don't have a voice or who are struggling every day, I think that your story is very uplifting. And I think that your story is very encouraging to those who don't have it in them to sort of speak up and fight for the help. So again, I commend you for that.
Thank
did
you so
want
much,
to bring
Chris.
up.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Sorry, I did want to bring up some of the comments just in case you wanted to say anything, Elizabeth. Kathy Baker Richmond, who I personally know, said, "Thank you, ladies. My grandson was diagnosed last week with level 2 autism, and has had a mild seizure activity. And her grandson's had a lot of health issues since he was born, and he just got diagnosed last week with autism. Would you have any advice for her?"
Absolutely. Being on the spectrum and having epilepsy, just be known and reassured that the seizures are here right now, but eventually they go away probably as they grow out of it. Some kids do grow out of it, and if they do have a seizure, just don't panic and be like, it's going to be okay. There is medical treatment out there. I would talk to your neurologist and see what else they could do for them.
Absolutely.
Just know that it could go away, as they grow older.
We've got another comment from Amber Himes, and she said, when I told my daughter that my little was autistic, she started crying and asked if we could fix him. I told her that he wasn't broken, he was just different.
Bless her
Okay,
heart.
I love that. I love
Right.
that.
Bless her heart.
That's actually good advice. A lot of kids don't understand why their siblings are the way they are, but just know that God gave them the way that they did. That's how I told my children that's how my son was born. God gave him to me the way he did, and that's just how it is, And some will understand, some won't, but know that they are special in their own way.
Yep.
Did your son experience a lot of bullying because of the autism?
Did my son? No, but I think we did as parents. A lot of parents looked at us like, "Why is your son not behaving? Why is your son? Why can't you? Why can't you control him? Why can't you do this?" I think we experienced the bullying more than my son did. And I would just be like, "Okay, walk a day in my shoes, see how you feel, be in my place."
Right.
All
I
I
was
can
going to
say
say,
is that
go ahead,
mine
Elizabeth.
being nonverbal did not get bullied, but I think us as parents, every time we either went into a store when we had him, went into a store or whatever, they're like, "Why can't you control his behaviors? Why do you have to act this way? You need to punish him." I'm like, you can't do that with autistic kids. They don't understand. And it's not their fault the way they act. It's not.
I think adults bully worse than kids.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yep. It's terrible.
I agree.
I was going to say when my nephew was young, I think that was the hardest part, is watching my sister, because my nephew, when he was born, he was one of those children that didn't want to be touched, didn't want to be held, didn't want to be loved. So for the first 2 or 3 years of his life, my sister felt like she couldn't bond with him. And of course, he'd have meltdowns all the time, and he was nonverbal. And it was so painful watching her go through this, because she thought she did something wrong as a parent because she wasn't able to bond with him. He didn't want to be held or touched or loved on. And then I think it was like when she got the diagnosis, when she finally got the diagnosis that he was autistic, it was like a light bulb went off, and she's like, "Okay, we can deal with this."
Now that there's some explanation to some of the behaviors, whether yay or nay, you have a direction to go in at that point. You know what I mean? Now you can start seeking, different options and, treatments, if you will. Like, I kind of don't like that word, because I feel like, when you're dealing with individuals on the spectrum, whether they're children, young adults, or adults that are diagnosed, I feel like treatment puts them in a category where they're like sick, and I don't consider those that are on the spectrum or compromised in any way sick. I consider them special. I consider them unique. And I think that, terminology wise, it kind of puts this like stereotype, if you will. It like puts them in a category, and it kind of heartbreaking, because how do you deal with that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you explain to other people, like, my son is my son, or my daughter, my niece, my nephew, whatever. They're mine. I love them just the same.
Right.
They're not any different than any of you. Like, I was chosen to be his parent. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
You're saying
Yep.
label, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
You don't want them labeled.
The labels, yeah. It makes me sad,
No.
And there are a lot of when I was
Yeah,
reading,
to label these kids, is like the worst thing you.
Yes.
when I was
Can-
reading on it, I read that a lot of autistic parents don't like to be referred to on the spectrum because they think that's a label, Chris. So I think that plays
Interesting.
into it.
Yeah. No, I just don't agree with it.
Can I just say,
I
want to say,
Go ahead, Lori.
Elizabeth, I just want to say God bless you. I did in junior high and high school, I worked with special needs children. And I got bullied all the time for it. And then I also did a lot of with Special Olympics. There is no difference with them. They're still human. They still deserve to be treated the right way.
Mm-hmm. And they have feelings, just because they may not be able to speak or respond, or their thought process may be a little different than, some others. They have feelings and they feel, and that needs to be respected.
Absolutely. Like we were told by our neurologist that it's like a computer, like a computer in the memory. It got erased, so you have to like reprogram it again. Like you have to, kind of like, it just means how do I put it? Like it's rewired, but you can fix it.
That's a good analogy.
Whatever strides autistic kids make, right? Take it as one step at a time, one thing at a time, because every little milestone that they do, be proud of that. Because I know I am as a mom. Every milestone that he does, I'm proud of that. Whatever I'm told from his school or from his counselors or from the group home, any little thing he does, I will cry, I will scream, I'll be shouting. My son does what he does. So.
Well, Elizabeth, I want to thank you so much for being on here. We do have Kelly backstage. I was going to say, Elizabeth, if you want to hang out with us, you're more than welcome to. And maybe you guys, might have questions for each other.
Thank you for sharing your family with us, Elizabeth.
I would love. Oh, you guys are welcome. And just know that I appreciate you ladies and I support you ladies. And Miss Angie, you have been the best thing. And I'm so glad I met you. And I'm so glad that you're part of our family now, too.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth.
Right.
We're gonna take just a quick commercial break. Elizabeth, stay right where you're at. And when we come back, we'll have Kelly with us also. So give me just a few minutes. We'll do a quick commercial. Please visit Rolling with the Underwoods today. Rolling with the Underwoods is a great page on Facebook featuring James Underwood and Lori Underwood as they share their lives of being a trucker and trucker's wife over the road. Please join them today and their zany sidekicks, Bobo and Princess Rhinestone. See all the trouble these two troublemakers get into while they're traveling across the United States. Please visit Rolling with the Underwoods today. Get to learn all about Lori and James and their life over the road as they share everything with you. And don't forget their adorable dogs, Thor and Lady. Join Rolling with the Underwood. All right, we are back. Hey, everybody. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Hi,
Nice
Kelly.
to meet you. So I just want to tell everybody this is one of Terry's good friends. So Terry, I'm actually going to let you start talking first. How's that?
All right. Well, Kelly is somebody that I've known for several years, and Kelly is one of the most wonderful, loving, intelligent, brilliant women that I know.
Quit.
And you are. Stop it. And I look up to Kelly so much because for a long time, I never had the opportunity to meet. May I say her name, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, Ellie is her name. She is a beautiful, beautiful young lady. Oh my gosh. Now that my husband and I moved out of the state of Minnesota, North Dakota, I am farther away from Kelly. And this wonderful woman drives to Grand Forks to take me to dinner, hours. And they were on their way through, and with Ellie and Kelly's husband, and Paul, and they invited Paul and I, and we joined them for dinner. And that was my first opportunity to get to really know Ellie. I had seen her years ago when I took some photos, some family photos for them, but she has blossomed into a wonderful young lady. But to be very honest, and I think Kelly, you know this, I really, really did not realize the challenges that Kelly faced every day. And I thought I respected her a whole ton before that. And the respect level just skyrocketed to see just what a dinner out, the challenges that Kelly and her husband faced with Ellie just in a restaurant having dinner. And the patience that they have with this young girl just is mind-boggling. And I told Kelly flat out, I don't think I could have do it. I don't. And Ellie is an amazing young lady. And Kelly, we'd love for you to tell us about Miss Ellie.
Ellie will be 7 in 2 weeks. She is our granddaughter. We adopted her just after she turned 2. Our daughter was really very young. Not a pretty situation. We'll leave it at that. So we adopted Ellie. So we're raising her. Not how we planned on spending our years, golden years going into retirement. That's for sure. Not the plan we had. Making the best of it. And like the day that, when we went to dinner with Terry, it was a lot of it was a strange place, a loud place, sensory overload, just a lot of new things, a lot of places she hadn't been before. And, it's behavior that's quite a bit different than maybe what we would have seen at home. And those are things that you do your best to try to prepare for, to take them places, whether it's shopping or out to eat, or a couple of weeks ago, it was going to go see a play at, our local theater. And it was like, I brought 2 backpacks full of stuff, not knowing what I was going to have to do in that hour and 15 minutes.
That's what I was going to say, Kelly. Tell us a little bit about how you prepare Ellie for a new environment. Like, I noticed she had a tablet, things that headphones. Tell us a little bit about when you have to bring her in and open her eyes to something completely new.
We try to do talking ahead of time. We try to let her know, yes, it is going to be loud in there. It's okay if you put on your headphones. There's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be really busy. We're going to do our best to stay in our seat. I can't say things like, I need you to sit still. It's not going to happen. We say we do our best, do our best. And, we have the tablet, we have the fidgets, we have, when she starts getting really overstimulated, it's almost like her ears shut off. So we have a lot of visual cues. I carry little cards with the pictures on them, just like the paras do at school, and stuff. So we give her visual cues and stuff for things like sit and to lower her voice. She can be really loud. She She does not like other people making loud noises, but she's okay if she's the loudest one in the room. So
bless her heart.
All of us women like to be the center of attention. It is what it is.
yeah, and she is no different. And that, so if we're going to a different doctor, we talk about things the doctor might say or what kind of things we might see. We try going up, she's had to go to the OR several times, so we watch videos on YouTube about what that's. Now she's an old pro, so it's not as she's done enough now, but so we just really try to prepare her in as many ways as we can as far as what to expect. With her autism, she mixes in ADHD and anxiety. So sometimes when we have those behaviors, those stressors, that stimulation, we really can't figure out where it's coming from. Is it the anxiety because she's in a new place and there's lots of people? Is it sensory because it's too loud? And we just try to do what we can to, help her through whatever, because it's really not us that's struggling, it's her. And, so if we're struggling to, I want to say, manage that, deal with that. I don't like any of those terms, because that's not the way we see our kids, but
right.
If we think we're struggling, we have to remember that they're struggling even more. So
Kelly, I have to say that I'm like, first of all, I'm blown away because, I know that we're probably close in age, and you were probably at that age where, hey, now it's, time for me, my husband, and that you stepped up and you are now essentially starting over. And now you have a child with autism, which is even a harder goal to deal with than with a regular child. But I think the benefit probably outweighs everything too, because even though it's hard, it's got to be, an amazing journey for you and your husband.
It is. We, it is the battles. My husband is also disabled, so he's no longer working, and that takes, I want to say it takes a little bit of the stress off, but maybe it doesn't. It, can give me a little bit of a break. I have, my garden that I escape to in the evenings. If I can handle the mosquitoes, I can get, a little bit of quiet time and stuff. So it is now, and you find out, no offense to anyone else, but you find out you get to, a certain age and a certain size, you don't get to go down the slide with your kids anymore. You get stuck at the top with your hips, and you just don't make it down.
And Kelly doesn't even have wide hips, so you just be quiet.
Well, apparently they're wider than the slide at our local playground. So
I'm with you there.
Whose version of wide, because the manufacturer of that slide says yes, they are.
Kelly, you had mentioned words, and I noticed that at the restaurant that night. When you spoke to Ellie, it wasn't like in long sentences. It was in little brief comments, short phrases, if you will. Is that a comprehension issue or an attention? Tell us a little bit about how the communication works.
For her, it's a little bit of both. It is kind of the receptive processing. So it's the information that she receives. What's called receptive and expressive processing disorder. So one of them is the information that she receives sometimes doesn't always get filtered in right, or sometimes takes longer to process. So we try to keep it just short, sweet. And again, when she starts getting overstimulated, we find that her ears start shutting off. So if we're going to spend our time saying something, we need to hurry up and get to the point before we lose it. And that is a little bit of both the anxiety, I don't want to pay attention to you. The ADHD, I'm busy paying attention to everything else. And the autism with the processing that,
I remember Kelly.
So
Sorry, Kelly. I'm a delay. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just remembered something that happened at the restaurant that night when she grabbed your husband's steak. He did not just do verbal. He was using like, put it down, or something he did. So that just reminded me of something that night. She was getting to where she wasn't listening to his words.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought of that. That was really amazing.
And a lot of times we use I don't know if you can say, let me see. This is a sign for stop. And we've used this with her ever since she was very young. So we started pretty basic sign with her. She is quite verbal. She became verbal about the age of 4. She was what they considered pre-verbal. She did have words, but not a whole lot of effective communication. So she would answer a question. You could say, what color is this? And she would say red, but that's the only thing you're going to get out of her. It is one word and one word only. So she did have, it's considered, I guess they were calling it nonverbal because she didn't have effective communication. But now we know because she is talking, sometimes a lot, that it was really just, trying to get some of that processing down, and it takes her a little bit longer. So she was born premature. So we have all of that, delays to try to factor in to try to figure out what that has to do with it too. So,
Chris, did you have a question for Kelly?
I did. You kind of answered it in a brief kind of way, but I know what I've seen kind of out and about in the real world, but when it comes to Ellie, correct? That's her name?
Yep.
Okay. What is one of the most difficult scenarios, maybe not a certain situation, but a scenario in general that has been the most difficult, and how have you been able to kind of refocus her in the sense of not letting it kind of get out of hand? Where are your biggest struggles with her?
We've had a couple, and the biggest turning part is kind of when we're out in public and we're going, trying to go places. We've been, whether it's to the zoo or we're shopping at Walmart. She does, in autistics, they refer to it as, wandering or eloping. So it's, they just wander off. Sometimes they'll bolt. They don't pay attention. It's not able to try to focus on, what you're doing and still kind of focusing on what she's doing, knowing that needs to be constant. When we go places, when she outgrew her stroller, we bought her a wheelchair. If we take her places where I know it's going to be crowded, where she may have a hard time focusing, where she may have a hard time, she gets so distracted with those kind of things, we use the wheelchair. Only because special needs strollers are really, really expensive once they start getting bigger and stuff. So the wheelchair for us was the better option. But a lot of it is, and even from my point, is it's like the judgment that you get from other parents. So Ellie has a few choice words that we haven't been able to get rid of yet. And, so we're working really hard. Okay. It took us 1.5 years to get rid of the word diarrhea. Okay. And that was all the time. Response to everything was diarrhea. Try walking
Oh,
through
bless your
Walmart
heart.
with your kids saying that to everybody. You know, but there's other days it's been, you know, I hate you and you're stupid. And, you know, as we're walking by, we can't let that bother us. We can't, yeah, I can get into a power struggle and we're both going to lose. So it's really about, you know, you respond, yep, I can see why you think that sometimes. Okay, you want strawberry jelly or grape? And you just kind of keep moving on.
So
But it's
picking
that judgment.
and
You know that if
choosing.
there's other parents around. Oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, that's okay. There was a little bit of a delay. I was just thinking, so picking and choosing your battles wisely is maybe one of the key components when she's out in public as far as her struggles personally.
Yep. And if you think of like a normal or a neurotypical child having like a tantrum, a temper tantrum is they're not getting what they want. They don't like that answer, so they're going to voice their opinion. And that would stop if they get what they want. That if you would have given them what they wanted, that would stop. For autistics, it's actually referred to as a meltdown, and they lose control of that. There is not anything that will suddenly stop. So you need to introduce things, you need to remove things. If they're overstimulated, move them to a different area. I have completely walked away from a full cart of groceries in order to take her out to the car. We listen to soft music. She's got her blanket. We put the tablet back on. When we're ready, we go back in. If the cart's gone, we start over. And, you know, there's been other days I've called my husband and said, you know, you need to come and get her. I need to finish this. I am almost done. You know, you need to come and get her. And there's other days where even if she's at home and I'm shopping, he'll call and say, I need to tap out. I can't, you know, I'm out of ideas. She is mid meltdown and he doesn't know what else to do. You know, he's tried what he knows how to do. So, you know, I get that call and it says, how much longer are you going to be? And I'm like, I'm on my way. Hang on.
Kelly, do you mind if I ask a question? Is there like special programs? Is there special programs or anything that other parents can get involved with, or?
There is, especially in our area, we have no autism services. We have no one in our county that can even diagnose autism.
Oh, wow.
We don't have a psychologist. We don't have a therapist. We don't have a pediatrician. We don't have any of those people that are able to help us even begin to understand our kids. So I've spent a lot of time, webinars, reading, Facebook groups, websites, and, you know, they'll have tutorials. Well, I don't know about tutorials, but interactive things, you know, and books that you can read. And there's a couple really great books out there for for sensory processing. There's one called the Out of Sync Child. There's actually a series of books, and that's really amazing at helping you deal with sensory processing and trying to understand. Part of it is they process their incoming senses different. We grow up learning you have 5 senses. You actually have 8. And they process theirs entirely different. So I may not mind the tag in the back of my shirt, but that may feel like she's getting, you know, scraped with a butter knife. I don't know. Some kids can't handle tight clothes. Some can't handle seams on socks. Some can't handle, you know, shoes with firm bottoms. Target handles an entire line of special needs clothing.
Nice.
of adaptive.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That,
I didn't know that either.
It's, you really don't find it in any store, but if you go online, you can find it.
What's it called? Does it have a name, Kelly? So our viewers, anybody that wants to look it up can find it?
I don't know that it's a specific line as much as if you just go to their website and search adaptive clothing, there's quite a bit that comes. It can be, they have jeans with waistbands, so that you don't have to worry about buttoning if they have, fine motor problems and
that's amazing
stuff like that. So that's one resource. A lot of them, if you have a lot of meltdowns and anger problems, impulse control, there's another book called The Explosive Child. That's a really good one that helps. So there's just kind of going out, and I started with our statewide with the Minnesota DHS website, and they have a list of organizations and websites and links. And now Minnesota has an autism portal run by DHS. And they keep pretty well up to date on, a lot of different resources that are listed, nonprofit groups, different, things. So you can watch videos, you can talk to other parents. Some parenting groups on Facebook have been awesome for me to, one, you find out, okay, you're not in this alone. There are other parents that, have this, that are dealing with this, and try to figure out it's, okay, their kids are older, they've done this, or even for me being able to help out, I respond to a lot of those posts to be able to say, okay, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Check into this, and stuff, to be able to help out things that I've learned about. So I think some of the best resources I found have actually been other, reaching out and just talking to parents and, trying to find out what worked. I mean, there's a saying that says if you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism. So nobody's going to have the same experiences. I may need to talk to 25 different people to be able to find similar things, for Ellie. So it's hard to be able to say, read this book or watch this video or this explains, everybody doesn't.
Now, Kelly, you talked about a book
one of the
called
best things you can learn from is.
Sorry, Kelly, we on that delay. I apologize. Tell us about you. Yes, that's an amazing thing. Please fill us in.
It's actually just one page. It's, I don't know, longer than what you would call a poem, but it's a story. It is awesome for parents of special needs children, especially when first diagnosed. And what it does is it explains, and it says, when you're pregnant, when you find out that you're pregnant, you're planning on having a baby, it's like planning a trip to Paris. All the things you're going to see, all the things you're going to be able to do, what great times you're going to be able to have when you get to Paris. And then when you get diagnosed, just like getting off the plane and hearing them say, welcome to Holland. So at first you go into shock. Wait a minute, what am I doing in Holland? This was not the plan. How did I get here? How did this happen? And then you start to realize you can spend all of your time, being sad and miserable over not being in Paris, being jealous of all your friends that are in Paris when they post pictures of things, or you can learn to appreciate the things that Holland has. Paris doesn't have tulips. So, you try to figure out the things that, the different things that make your life unique and the things that you can appreciate about what you do get to do. For an amazing thing. Yeah. For us, it's awesome. We're going to have this huge playroom inside our house, and she's going to have a trampoline, a rock wall, a swing, a couple crash pads, a big rocker. And
Wow.
neurotypical children just don't usually have that because they just don't need that. And, you know, that's something with the help of a state grant that we'll be able to do for her. So we'll be actually starting construction here in just a couple, remodel in a couple of weeks, where we sacrifice the master bedroom in order to, yeah.
That's
but she-
amazing.
So it's, you know, and every so often there's, you know, I'm kind of dealing right now with another one. It's like every milestone that comes up, or, you know, every time you find yourself wishing something would be different. That's, having a special needs child is not, one time, okay, I accept it. This is our life. Let's go. It's every time something reminds you of, you know, what you could have had, what might have been. There's still that little bit of, you know, you can still be jealous of those pictures from Paris, you know, and you can still wish that you were there. And sometimes that's still hard to deal with. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's almost like a change of season. Maybe that's why, you know, a trip to Holland works so well for me. But it's like when the seasons change, you need to go find something else to appreciate. And you know, so there's always something. You just need to keep building on that. And
Kelly, you told me something once that blew my mind about Ellie. You said, and it was many years ago, I don't know if you ever remember it, and it guys, I'm telling you, it's so powerful. Every day is a surprise with Ellie. It's up to you whether you make it a good surprise or a shit surprise. That's what you told, and you know, you can think of that every day in life. We decide whether whatever is gone our way, and as truckers, things like we were talking about happen every day unexpected, but it's really up to us what we make of that. And you told me that once about Ellie, and it was just so powerful for me and so emotional. And that was before I really got to know her. That's the amazing outlook you got up with every day. Like, okay, today I'm sure I'll be surprised by something. It's what I make of it that's going to decide whether today's a good day or a bad day. And that just, that was so powerful when you said that to me. So.
That's awesome. Well, Kelly, I want to thank you so much for being. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on this show, because it's sorry, we're in construction right now. But I think it's so important for everybody to understand how it is dealing with autism, because like Terry has mentioned and others have mentioned, there's such a stigmatism out there, especially when you're trying to deal with a child who has autism out there in public. You know, a lot of times it's the parents or the grandparents that get looked down upon, like, why can't you control your child? And people just need to understand it's not a control issue.
And Kelly, speaking from somebody who loves you and knows you and loves Ellie, thank you for sharing your story with us. The knowledge that you and your husband have gained and that you opened up to us. Thank you, and much respect. You know, I love you, and you're just you're so strong, and we really appreciate you being here and sharing your family with all of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for the invite. So I appreciate that.
And we will talk soon.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Kelly, so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Right.
Bye, Cal. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okay, and then there was 4.
What an amazing hour.
Yes.
I've learned like an incredible amount of information. And it has just been amazing. What an amazing, amazing hour. I'm so happy we got together.
I'm so glad Elizabeth reached out because, the show wouldn't have been possible without Elizabeth reaching out and saying, hey, just a thought process. We're a trekking family and we're dealing with autism. That might be a good topic. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a great topic. And I felt you could still feel the pain in her from having to make that decision to put him in a group home. But, I'm sure it's better for everybody involved, and probably better for him too.
I was
and
going to
every
say,
situation is different. Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
Chris.
And that's what no, you're fine. And that's what I was just going to say, with what Angela said, it's almost not even what's best for them, but what's most beneficial for her son, and then you make that decision. And okay, so now he's good. Now we need to figure out how we're going to be okay and how we're going to get through this and, juggle these million different aspects of kind of what's in front of us. I commend those out there that are in that situation. I really do. I really do.
Look at Elizabeth. You can see, like Angela said, the pain from putting him in a group home. I'm sure as a mom, which unfortunately, as you ladies know, I'm not a mom, but I imagine that she would have rather had him at home, and she sacrificed what she wanted to do what was right by him, and that's just. We need to have so much respect for her and others, moms that make either decision, whether to keep their child at home and do the work, and like Kelly or, like Elizabeth, just mad respect. I mean, she put him way before her own heart.
Well,
Absolutely.
I think a mother's love is unconditional.
Yeah.
It to me, a mother's love doesn't matter if they got 10 toes, 10 fingers, you're going to love that child no matter what.
And I think also as mothers, we always put our children's needs above everybody else's. And, you could see that definitely with Elizabeth and Kelly both. They've done both sacrificed so much to make sure that their children, have a good life. I did want to bring up, because I didn't get a chance to mention it, but Amber Hines had a really good comment. She said that she was teaching her son sign language for that very reason. So she's doing the same thing that Kelly's doing.
Wonderful.
And
That's
Diane
awesome.
Yosick, our Diva of the Month, said, great show tonight.
Diane.
For those of you guys that don't know, we do Diva of the Month every month in the Divas group. So if you haven't joined our group and you're a female, please do so. It's an all-female group. But the Diva of the Month gets their own T-shirt and gets recognition throughout the whole month. And this month, our special Diva is Diane Yosick, one of our favorites.
She
And
is
you don't
fabulous.
have to be a trucker. Sorry, Chris.
No.
You don't have to be a truck driver to be in our group. We love ladies, whether they're at home. We love them all. We welcome them all with open arms.
And we have a comment from Elizabeth, who was just on, and she said, thank you so much, ladies, for having me on tonight.
Thank you for being with us.
And sharing your family with us, opening up. That's not always easy with the way our world is now and the bullying and we appreciate you trusting us.
And that's kind of what I was saying earlier, to hear the stories of those where special needs is their reality. There's a lot of people that don't have the strength to speak up. So I think, I think that having her on the show as well as Kelly, it sort of maybe brings light to those others that are struggling, and maybe will open that door for them to be able to reach out or speak up or, seek resources, any of those pathways.
Absolutely.
Ladies.
Raising a special needs child is a lot more to it than raising a normal child, There's a lot more time and effort and a lot more devotion and strength. Strength is the biggest, I think.
Just like Kelly said, something as simple as grocery shopping. It's,
right.
It's something just that simple, or being out to have dinner. And And I remember when we were at dinner with them, and we were at one of the steakhouses or whatever. And I remember when Paul and I drove home that night, I made a comment to Paul, like, I am so impressed. Not one person said anything disrespectful to them, to Kelly and her husband, about Ellie. She was kind of trying to crawl under tables and peek over into the next table. And she's a beautiful little kid. She's, you know, curious. Not one person. And I remember saying that to my husband, like, wow, in this day and age, I'm surprised somebody didn't get rude. And I was so impressed. And it makes you wonder what they do go through just every day out there, people pointing and Chris, you make a really good point that, by bringing this up and Kelly and Elizabeth being willing to open up to us, I hope anybody listening, if you have family or you're going through this, that you'll find some strength in knowing that you have women that are there and want to be there for you. And we do, come to us, open up here. If you need
that's one of the things I was going to mention is, the whole core premises of Trucker Safety Divas, yes, it has to do with trucking. Yes, it has to do with the trucking life. But the most important thing about Trucker Safety Divas is, A, to empower our women to have a voice, to speak up and love themselves. But we want to empower our women. But the other thing is that in Trucker Safety Divas, it's all female. You can come in there, you can talk about anything. If you have a question, it doesn't have to be trucking related. It can be life related. We are there to support everybody regardless, with zero judgment. And I know that the four of us are like watchdogs on that, because we won't put up with anything other than that. We want everybody to feel comfortable and safe to speak about anything they want. If they have a question, ask it. Maybe somebody in the group can help. And I think that's what I love about the group so much.
It's a safe zone, Ange, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I asked about menopause and PMS, and you guys didn't tease me for it.
Amber's got a really good comment here, and it was actually something I was just getting ready to mention. But she said, "You find a lot of rude people because they don't understand what the kids are going through," and I think that's so true. And the other thing I was going to say is, along with the child being autistic, I think oftentimes people don't take into consideration the emotional trauma it is on the parents, having to constantly be ridiculed in public, or even I know, like with my sister, family members are like, "Oh God, why can't you control your son?" It's hard, not only on the child who maybe can't verbalize or try to come across and say what they want, but then it's also hard on the parents who are trying to deal with it and getting ridiculed for it.
Right. I was going to piggyback off of what you're saying now. I know when I helped out and I assisted, it was really difficult to do that because people are just rude, they get picked on, they get made fun of, they get all that. And as somebody who has a big heart and want to help those children out, it was even rough just on me, So, I mean, to only imagine what the parents go through, hats off to you guys,
And I think, too, knowing that every day is almost a new day. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're going down this path and you think, okay, this is day 10. We should be used to it. But it's like every day is day one. Every day is step one. You start with a clean slate and never know, what your day is going to entail. You know what I mean? Like what Kelly was saying with the surprises. I just think that a lot of people don't realize, like you said, the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, the ability to constantly have an open mind to abstract and change and adjustment and all these things that these parents are doing on a minute to minute to minute to minute. You have to be prepared for the unexpected always. And I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it.
I totally agree. So I know that we're getting ready to close the show, but I know, Chris, you're waiting on your truck to get repaired so that you can get back out there. But hey, you're going to be home for Mother's Day, so that's a good thing.
I was very excited about that. I mean, I love my family. I love being home. You know, I'm trying to enjoy the atmosphere. Part of me would much rather be out there driving, but again, you got to see the positivity in it. You know, we're home. We have a couple extra days to sort of enjoy our new home front, and we just take it as it comes.
And the new grandbaby.
Oh God, he's so sweet.
He's so cute.
He is so sweet. He's been out there
pretty
screaming.
handsome.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
what's your big plans for the week, Lori?
I'm going to go shopping for some more clothes, and I think we're just gonna go out for dinner. Nothing really special.
Well,
that's
special.
special, right?
Yes.
Oh, you know
How
what I
about
mean.
you, Ange?
We actually, as you can tell, I'm in the truck and it's very bouncy. We are on our way to Pennsylvania because tomorrow morning we will be in Lancaster, and hopefully we'll get to see Catherine tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we're going to do the Make-A-Wish Mother's Day convoy tomorrow. And we're so excited. We'll get to have
And
a
you guys
child.
are going out to dinner, right? The buffet.
Yeah, we're going to go out to dinner after the convoy, and we're excited because we're going to have a child ride in our truck with us during the convoy, and we got some gifts for him and all that good stuff.
Nice.
I can't wait to see it.
Right.
And guys,
I was just gonna say.
I apologize for having to leave. Somebody kept knocking on my truck door twice.
Oh,
So
isn't that nice when they do that?
Huh?
I said, isn't that nice when they do that?
Yeah.
I did want to also mention real quick before I forget, because I'm very forgetful. We are accepting. How do I even want to word that? We have some openings for new moderators on Trucker Safety Divas. You do not have to be a truck driver to apply. The biggest thing we're looking for is people who are going to be active to help us bring more positivity, to help us spread the word as far as empowering women in our group. And so if you have time and it's something you would like to do, be sure to get a hold of one of the four of us and Catherine also. One more thing I wanted to mention, we do have another big announcement, and that is Terry and Catherine are in a probationary period, but they have become administrators. And so we're excited to have them. They're going to be right here with Lori and Chris and I, making all the decisions, adding their input, and trying to make Trucker Safety Divas bigger and better. And so we're excited.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
We're very excited.
And I thank you guys for doing such a wonderful show tonight.
It was one of the best I think we've done. We've had a lot of really good shows, but I definitely think tonight's show was, in my eyes, one of the best shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And next week, I believe our show is going to be, we're going to be talking about what a final call is. And then we're also going to be talking about the organization Truckers Final Mile. So that's what we'll be discussing next week. And one more thing before I forget, we do have an opening on the Wednesday show. So if anybody is interested in possibly filling in as a host, please get in touch with Catherine. She's the one making all the decision making on that one. Do we have any other announcements we need to make that before I forget?
I will be absent for next Saturday, but I do have somebody taking my place. Thank you, Sheila. I will be spending my anniversary with my love. So sorry,
That's
guys.
right. That's
How many years, Lori? How many years? Tell us.
22 being married, 23 being together.
Good for
Wonderful.
you.
We are going to Tombstone. We are dressing up in Wild West gear and gonna go horseback riding and mining and all kinds of fun stuff. So
And you
we're
better
like
take a
eager to get this
lot of
week over.
We want pictures.
I
Lots
can't
of
wait to see.
There's gonna be pictures and lives and everything else possible.
I'm super excited for you guys to do like a mini honeymoon, like super excited for you. And I know you guys are excited.
Yeah.
Oh, and the dress you picked out is beautiful.
Yeah, they got beautiful clothing, I'll tell you.
Oh, I can't wait till you see pictures.
I know, me either.
So did you get Thor a little cowboy hat and Lady a little like skirt?
No, we didn't. We didn't. But maybe we'll find something up there at Tombstone for him. But I do
Even a
have
little bandana. Little bandana or something. Yep.
Yeah. But I do have a parasol and I've got the nice Victoria boots. And, so it'll be a whole lot of fun. We're looking forward to it.
You're going to be a little sexy Western woman.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, you all know me. You know how I am. I'm Miss Redneck Country Bumpkin anyway.
But we love you.
You're perfect just the way you are. We love you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I do have one more announcement. I totally forgot. See, I'm so forgetful. Okay, next Friday, we have big news. Next Friday, the guys will be back with their show, Truckers on TV. It'll be Justin, Larry, and James, and no topic, just the three boys being goofy and talking about trucking, and it's just going to be a fun night. So they'll be back next Friday, and we'll remind you guys throughout the week so you don't forget, 7 o'clock Central.
And guys, that show is a lot of fun.
Paul's looking forward to it.
We gotta say it. We gotta say it, and we all gotta do what Nuna said. What did the guys do? Squirrel moments.
Oh yes. God,
we're like,
what did
you guys do?
Squirrel moment for us.
Squirrel.
I'll tell you, Paul is so excited to have them come back because he's never been able to see him yet. I was just telling him about him. And so he's excited to watch them.
The three of them together are a hoot. They are a
hoot.
I miss the guys show.
And they miss it. I think it just got down to everybody's schedules just got so busy, but we're trying to get back on track. The guys are super excited. They're missing you guys. They're excited to do the show, and we're excited to have them back. And there was something else I was going to say, and I totally forgot. Ugh, I hate that.
See, squirrel moment.
I know. I have them all the time. I think it's called old age.
You're not. Don't even go there. I'm the oldest one here. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. She was telling me that when we were shopping. She's like, girl, I'm 50. I'm old. I'm like, girl, I'm 3 years behind you. Don't you dare go there.
And I'm 3 ahead of you. So there.
Okay, well, I'll just bring in the red caboose because I'm younger than all of you at the moment.
I know, you're the baby.
Not very much younger. Yep, no, Lori, you don't have very many years on me there, sister. I'm getting there. Slowly but surely I'm creeping up that ladder.
We got a couple comments I want to get to before we hop off here. Let's see. Elizabeth Hines says, you all are amazing ladies, and thank you for letting me tell my story. Diane Yosak said, next week is going to make me cry. And before I forget, tomorrow is Mother's Day. So for all of you out there who are mothers, grandmothers, or fur mommies, we want to wish you guys a happy Mother's Day.
Yes. Yes.
A very happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yes. And Amber said, oh, heavens, bring me the diapers in regards to the boys' show.
Right?
I don't know. It could be in regards to us getting old and we might need diapers. That could be what she means.
You know, I mean, that's a two-way street.
I'm getting up there, you know, 53.
You guys have a week to prepare, so make sure you stock up on those diapers.
Bless.
Oh my God, we never know what's going to come out of their mouths. We're as shocked as you guys are. So when you guys are sitting there watching the show, please know that Lori and Chris and I are in our houses or our trucks going, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that.
Like, stop. Just don't stop right where you are.
Filter.
No filter Fridays. No filter Fridays with the guys. Right, Lori.
As they give away all your secrets.
Oh,
I'm glad they do.
They're a hoot.
Oh my God. Well, I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Terry, for joining our show
Thank
and
you.
joining Trucker Safety Divas and being an admin. Catherine, again, was supposed to be on tonight, but she is taking care of her parents because they were having some flooding issues. So please keep her family in your thoughts. And Chris and Lori, as always, thank you for being on the show with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy
Same to you
Mother's Day,
guys.
everyone. Bye.
Bye,
Happy Mother's
everybody.
Day. Good night.
Good night.